to The Green Room, a show about shows. Emily.
Hi, Meg.
2. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I got a mic now. I think I'm legit.
Yeah, you are legit. A little bit of news. We have moved The Green Room to the Beehive. We'll be creating our content over there for the foreseeable future. Super excited about it. Even more excited that The Real Housewives of Salt Lake premiered last night. I was excited, as excited as anyone can be. 5 minutes in, I was on cloud 9.
Yeah, I mean, I was excited, but cautious. I like to keep expectations low. But from that first catchphrase till the end of the show, I'm in, I'm hooked. I'm like, of course. All right. Well, it's a myriad of emotions. Meg, you are also Utah born and raised.
Born and raised.
So I was a little like, this is going to be embarrassing for us all. But I'm glad to report it's just the right amount embarrassing for us all. And It's still just incredible. It's incredible. This show is incredible.
Here's my question. Is it embarrassing? Is anyone taking the words of Real Housewives and thinking this must be accurate?
Yeah, well, what's embarrassing for me was like not necessarily what the Real Housewives were saying, but there were things that I felt like really held a mirror up to my life and culture that I was not thrilled with, starting with, but not finishing with their homes. I'm like, I'm so embarrassed that this is Utah architecture. Like when you watch the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they live in these houses that you're like, what if I could? What would that be like? But I'm like, I know what this like chalet looks like. I can rent that on Airbnb.
Like dark oak kitchen cabinet.
Yeah, like all the houses for me were just like, oh, rough. This is how we represent what we live like, which is, it's accurate. They're not wrong, but it is just disappointing. There are cooler houses in Utah. I will say this. There are cooler houses in Utah. Okay.
I'll say this. There are cooler people in Utah, but that's not the show we're getting.
Maybe, because I'm about to go to bat forever for Jen, who I didn't expect to like at all. Officially will say at this stage in the game, she's the best person in Utah.
I mean, she's the show. There's no Real Housewives of Salt Lake City without Jen.
She is the show. Okay, but starting from the beginning, and we get to start. I don't know who started, but I think it was Jen who was the first catchphrase. Yes. One of my favorite. The most thrilling time for a Real Housewives fan is a new season when you get to see the catchphrases because they are pure gold. And this time, pretty good. They're pretty good.
You ready for Jen's?
Yeah, please.
In this town, I'm Queen Bee and MVP. Emily.
She is.
I've lived in Salt Lake for a while. Never heard of Jen Shah.
Never heard of Jen Shah. And like, I'm familiar with the UU football team. I know who their coaches are. And I also never heard of Coach Shah. But I will say, my mistake, hands up. Because they've got to be some of the coolest people in Utah. You are not as much, but I am a hardcore Real Housewives fan. I watch every city. I watch every season. I'm very into it.
Yeah.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would hear the catchphrase, just like my pioneer ancestors, I'm trying to blaze a new trail.
It's a little wordy, if we're being honest.
It's very wordy. And also like, why are you trying to make this happen? Pioneers aren't happening for you, Heather.
I mean, we need to talk about Heather. I feel like Heather's going through something and we're witnessing it in real time.
I already like root for Heather because she seems so obvious the underdog. And it's sad that happened in 40 minutes. And I'm like, why are you so clearly the underdog of the show? Because you definitely are. Heather, wow. The first thing Heather said on the show, I would love to point out, was, how's biz? Her first words.
How's biz, fam?
How's biz, fam? I mean, oh, God bless Heather.
She's a mom boss. She's a babe boss.
She's a business boss.
There just seems to be a lot that she's unpacking and we're witnessing it in real time. I feel like usually we see someone on the other side of a life crisis.
Transition. She's
right
faith
here.
transitioning. She's marriage transitioning.
Yeah.
She's career. She is a butterfly, but she is still in that cocoon, girl. And I don't know if your best move was reality TV. That being said, I'm so glad you invited us to this, because every season of Real Housewives, you have to have an underdog. You have to have a star. It's Jen. You have to have a bully. That's Lisa so far. You have to have an underdog. That is Heather. You have to have a cuckoo crazy, and that is Mary. I hate to break it to you guys. You have to have like a ditz, and that is Whitney Rose. And then you have to have a boring one. She kind of centers it, and that is Meredith. All right.
100%.
There are types. There are character types, and they have hit them all. Again, first 40 minutes, and I'm like, I know who you are. I know exactly what role you're playing, and I'm so excited to see what happens.
Yeah, you know, usually a show, you need 3 episodes or so for it to like really start clicking. This was freaking Tetris, like a perfect board, like
right away.
Let's go back to the taglines, because we did Jen, in this town I'm Queen Bee and MVP. We've got Lisa. When you take cheap shots, always expect a hangover. Look, Lisa's whole deal is she sells tequila. Like, that's why she's here. That's what she's doing. Everything's going to be tequila adjacent. Fine.
Which, like, the only thing I care more about finding out about Lisa is, like, what's the deal with her husband? He's anyone in Elder's Corn.
well, they met because of a mission setup, which is
I know, but
Hella's
Lisa's
oldest
like
time.
Special and pretty. I was like, Lisa at BYU, I feel, and I could be wrong, but 20 years at BYU, I feel like Lisa could have had the pick of the litter.
Yeah. I mean,
this is where we went.
The house is ugly, but it's a nice house. I mean, she did okay. Whitney. This one is truly incredible. This Rose isn't scared to handle a little prick.
Burn on your husband?
Does she not know? Does she not know what that means?
Whitney?
Did no one tell her?
She's been made for TV. I have to say, Whitney Rose was made to be on reality TV.
She was, but does she fit in with this group of women?
I could not care less, because I'm very interested in her journey. Like, I don't root for her. And to be very honest, I don't care about her yet, but I am like, I will watch you. I'll watch you. But again, Whitney Rose, I feel like she's going to make up for this, because she seems to live in a dream world. And I really am interested in what it's like there.
Well, I also wonder if Whitney Rose is the bridge to the actual elite, that younger group of influencers who are all over our Instagram feed.
Yeah, because there are sincerely like elite bloggers in Utah, which none of them are on the show, which I'm like, if you can give me a Romney, give me a Huntsman, give me like Sorensen, if you want me to believe, like, but I can suspend disbelief for this 1 minute and think Whitney Rose is part of the luxury elite. I mean, she's got the backstory for it. When Whitney Rose talked about everyone thinking it's a big deal she left the Mormon church because her 4th generation grandpa was a bodyguard for Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. I just want to say, for the Mormon church, I'm going to speak for us all when I say, we don't care, Whitney. Like, and also what a weird brag. Like, she does know that Joseph Smith got murdered. Like, why are you talking about like a weird, very weird brag to be like, my great grandpa was his bodyguard? It's like, oh, I would maybe not.
Yeah. Also, like, throw a rock and you'll hit someone whose ancestor is named in the Doctrine and Covenants. Like, we're all that here.
Like, you don't hear me going to dinner parties talking about how my great grandpa was Joseph Smith's personal secretary. I mean, maybe I should, but like,
he was.
He was. And if you'll remember, things actually got written. So that is a good brag. But I will tell you, the reason I don't is because no one cares. Like, no one cares. But again, like,
nobody.
I have to take.
She's not even Porter T. Rockwell. You know, she was like bodyguard. I was like, it's gonna be Porter, and it was not.
It wasn't. Like, this guy's like second string. We're not whatever. But again, I can't stress it enough. I can't wait to see what Whitney Rose does.
Meredith, jealousy is a disease. To which I say, Get well soon. The grammar on this is blowing my mind. Do you talk directly to a disease?
I can't understand. She's not a doctor. Like, she owns a clothing store. You know what I mean? I'm like, Jen, she's a coach's wife. Okay, Whitney Rose, her last name's Rose. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that make sense here. Meredith's coming out of thin air.
Yeah, makes no sense whatsoever. Do they not have editors to help them with their taglines? Can I volunteer? I'm happy to do it.
I would do it for free. I would love to do this. I would do it all the time. What is your tagline though, Meg?
Costco's out of Diet Coke again. What's yours?
I don't know. I think it changes every day. Right now, I think it'd probably be like, just because you know I go to Wiener Schnitzel doesn't mean you know everything about me.
That's good.
Which I still think is better than Meredith.
It is. It's way better than Meredith. Like you said, Meredith, pretty boring so far. Really, the only thing about Meredith is she kind of looks like Lisa so far.
Oh,
like
she does. I will say Meredith looks phenomenal for 48.
Oh,
she looks smoking hot. Good for you, Meredith.
That beauty lab laser treatment.
I just don't love, personally, I don't love when they bring a housewife on who isn't actually from the city. And that's Meredith. Like, Meredith lives here part-time. She's not from Utah. I mean, I do like that she doesn't have to talk about Mormons all the time, like the cousins, the Rose gay cousins. But I do feel like it is, like, for me as someone who loves the housewives, again, I do get frustrated because I'm like, she is a bubble, or she's kind of out of it, and she does seem like not fully involved. So mark my words, Meredith doesn't make it past one season. Although that preview did make it seem like her husband like leaves her, and that is some hot storyline. But how it's tracking now, she's not going to make it past the first season.
Mary.
Oh.
I don't even know what to do with Mary. I love God, but I will read you like a scripture. Oh. The chaos this woman brings to every room she enters.
Mary
married her step grandfather because her grandmother wrote in her will that Mary should marry him when she dies.
Arranged marriage. I like, Mary's a necessary evil. Every show needs a villain, and that's Mary. She's coming in swinging, and I don't like her, but I'll watch her. Like, her outfits, though, are so bad. For someone who has
hideous
so much money, so apparently, if she doesn't have that much money, she's got a great closet from what I can see. But why? All I can think the whole time with Mary is, why are you wearing that? Why are you saying that? Why are you making that face? Mary, why? Mary, why? Why are you doing this? I just, like, Mary, like, she came off like quirky and like a little ditzy, whatever. But then that confessional really turned the page for me. And I'm like, oh no, Mary's mean. Mary's is a mean-spirited person. She should throw that Bible at herself because she's got a mean little spirit in there. And I am very interested to see what happened. Did you watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen? Did you hear when Andy Cohen was like, Mary, as soon as we announced the cast, everyone was very interested online about the fact that you married your step grandpa. What do you have to say about that? And Mary, her tactic is to say, well, you know, we're in Salt Lake where there's polygamy. So as long as it's not polygamy, it's like a valid marriage. And every other housewife's face is like, what? And I also was like, don't throw all of us and our bad dark history under the bus to try to deflect your weird present. Like, you're right, polygamy is very weird and it's terrible and whatever, but like, at least that page is like behind us. Mostly.
Well, she does try to make it sound like this is a long time ago. She keeps saying it was 22 years ago. And I'm like, Mary, that's not very long.
Mary, I was 13, 22. I was in Miami 22 years ago. And even then I knew not to marry my grandpa.
I mean, and I think we have to remember too that the producers are treating this with the sensitivity of someone who has read a Wikipedia page about Mormonism, and that's their entire knowledge base. And they're the producers of Real Housewives. We shouldn't expect more from them.
They're doing great.
We knew what this was gonna be. I am just astounded by how good this first episode Emily, I can't wait to talk with you about all of the coming episodes. We'll be back next week to break down episode 2. Until then, remember to subscribe to the Green Room podcast. Also, check out our Hive Mind newsletter on Substack. You can Google Hive Mind newsletter on Substack to find that. And we will be back next week.